Hello and welcome to another video. You join me here, I'm just getting actually ready for a new session. Yes, I look like a right old scruff bag with a beard and a hair, but all this is going to be coming off because I'm starting a new job possibly next week or the week after. Just waiting for a start date, so I'm mega excited about that. Actually back out there earning money after a year. It's been a long time coming, but can't wait. I'm really looking forward to it. So what I want to do in the meantime is just do a couple of sessions, make the most of the free time that I have. So I'm going fishing tomorrow, which I planned a week ago with my good friend Keith, who you haven't met yet, but you'll meet tomorrow. And Sunday I'll probably go to Keston Ponds if the weather's okay, permitting. So a week ago, rewind a week ago, I went drop shotting with Jack for a couple of hours up on the Thames. We didn't really have any fish. It was really cold. Watched a couple of anglers from a boat actually catch a few nice, I think they were roach and chub, maybe a few small barbel. But what we did do is we discovered a couple of new swims that we'd like to fish up there. So yeah, we're going to see what's going to happen after Christmas possibly. Head back up there and take our bait rods with us hopefully. But I had a phone call from, well, I had a message originally from a friend of mine called Keith. Me and Keith used to work together in Decathlon. We've become really good close mates there. He was at the time a matchman who's now converted to carp fishing, but still match fishes quite predominantly with his dad. I've never met someone who knows how to understand baiting situations as Keith does. Keith is ultimate when it comes to non-predatory species. So tomorrow will be quite nice because he's only ever done one predator session with me before. Up on the fens, I took him up there and caught him his first double figure pike, which I'll actually show you a picture of. That was actually, you can see it was quite a nice pike. So yeah, that was quite early hours of the morning, and he was a bit dubious about picking it up, but I had to give him a bit of reassurance and told him to trust me. But yeah, he had that nice pike. So we debated last week what we should do. It's only our second trip together this year, and we debated where we wanted to go. So the choice was, a couple of months ago we actually went to Sam's Lake down in Kent, Smardon, Kent. He fished for carp and I fished for perch. Probably the wrong time of the year, I know, fishing for perch there. I was hoping to maybe pick something up at night time. I certainly did. I hooked something really big, played it, and it ended up being a £12 carp on a live bait, quite a large gudgeon as well. There's me thinking at one point I might have had a record perch on, but it wasn't to be. I wasn't too happy, but hey, that's fishing. Gave me a nice little scrap and a run around. I appreciate it now, but at the time I was fuming, as you can imagine. Keith had loads of carp back then, but it wasn't really a fantastic session apart from we had good banter. We always do, me and Keith. So last week, like I say, we decided where we wanted to go. I talked about the big perch that lurk around there, and perch is his least favourite fish, believe it or not. I can't imagine any anglers where perch becomes one of their least favourite fish, but bream's mine. But perch, I can't understand why you put it at the bottom of the pile. But he mentioned about going back there for the perch. Now I certainly would do it, but I don't want him to get bored or go fishing for something he's not going to enjoy. Then we talked about going maybe bury eel before they do this ludicrous, weird membership thing they're doing there next season. So maybe a bit of a goodbye until we maybe might even fish it in a few years' time, or rules change or whatever, because I'm not going to join there for that specific reason. They've got some good fish in there, but I don't think it's good enough for me to head back there in order to do this weird thing they're doing. They've got more rules than anything now. I can understand fisheries having rules, but I think common sense comes before rules, in my opinion. But that's for another video, I'd imagine. So yeah, that got put about, and then there was another option. Back in March, I actually took a friend of mine to a river down in Kent. It's actually a day ticket river that backs on the back of some lakes. I'm not going to mention where it is. I'm sure some of you might even actually work out where it is, and I've only told a handful of people. I had a £16 2. We had loads of little runs of jacks. I had a £16 2 pike, and 10 minutes later I lost an absolute colossal beast. This thing was huge, and the river, you could jump across it. It was that narrow. This thing was huge. I had it on, and I had it good few seconds clear view of it, and it eats me up, and it upsets me the fact that I lost that fish. Now, I've never seen a fish that big pike-wise before, and for me, that thing was easily upper 20s, near 30. Something bigger than I've ever caught before, and it would have bust my PB completely. Unfortunately, on that day it wasn't to be. The one that got away, I suppose, but it's always played in the back of my mind. And I put it forward to Keith, and I said, Keith, look, I had this 16-2 there, showed him the pictures from that session, sent them all to him, showed him the background of the actual the river. He liked the look of it, told him a lot about the river, how I fished it, how I think it should be fished. Told him there's lots of perch and chub there as well. So he might have one rod out for pike and one rod out for perch and chub. Or he might go pike on 2 rods, and then maybe later on, if he gets bored, puts a perch or a chub rod out. So I said to him, yeah, no problem, and I'll fish 2 pike rods. I've got plenty of bait, so he doesn't have to worry about that. I think it would be quite nice for him to get a nice big pike. I think he's kind of excited by the prospect of maybe getting another pike on the bank, even if it's a couple of jacks, because obviously, you know, pike can fight harder, especially in clear flowing river like where we're going to head to, than some other fish that he might be species of fish he's fishing for. So we've kind of settled on going there tomorrow, so I'm really, really, really excited, not just for him, but selfishly for myself. It's my first trip in a few months where I've actually been outside of London, so I've got to make sure all my bits and pieces together, make sure I've got enough tackle for not only myself but for Keith as well, making sure we're covered on all bases. So I'm filming now, because obviously I'm using my compact camera and I'm not going to have the battery life to survive to do this introduction tomorrow on the bank plus fishing. So I'll introduce you to Keith tomorrow, show you a little bit more about what we're doing. Hopefully we'll have a couple of fish to show you for the camera, and it'll be a nice little video for you, because up till now I've not really sort of produced any goods, and sooner or later I am going to get amongst the fish. So I'm hoping, depending on how tomorrow goes, maybe popping up to Keston, getting a couple of fish in the net, so at least I've got a couple of action videos to show you in some future vlogs. But yeah, just playing around with a few things, playing around with some logos and setting up rods and getting everything really ready, so when I do start my job in a few weeks time, I don't have to mess around with having to do that kind of thing, because my time will be very limited, I believe, but at least for the first few months till I get settled in the job. So I'm really excited, not only for tomorrow but for the new job. I've got plenty of tackle I want to get on my wish list. I want to get loads of new filming equipment, so hopefully I can put some better quality videos out. But for me, it's hopefully getting amongst the fish at some point. Now, when we had those fish at this particular river, that was on the last day of the season in March of this year. So I've not fished this time of the year down there for them, so I'm hoping that the weather, where it's been fluctuating up or down, is not going to be too much of a factor. But what we're going to do is get some tackle together, set me rods up, get everything on the checklist, and then I'll probably see you in the morning. So, okay, so just arrived at the fishery. I've decided I'm actually going to call this this series the quest for the Mosasaurs. Just catching that big pike in March and losing it was just absolutely sickening. So I'm not going to keep going on about it. So me and Keith have just turned up. It's just after 7. The river looks pretty good at the moment, so we need to go down and have a good look at it. So we've got minimal gear today. So Keith's going to chub one rod. I'll introduce you to him a little bit later. He's a little bit sick at the moment. So yeah, he's going to fish one rod for the chub and then possibly one rod for the pike. I'm going to have 2 out for the pike. So let's get the gear together and head round to the swim. So here we are. I'm sitting in my first swim of the day. I'm going to be moving along the river. It's absolutely beautiful. I couldn't ask for a better day for us to be piking on this particular river. So at the moment I'm actually fishing in a pool that runs off the main river. My friend Keith is just setting up his chub rod now, and then we're going to set him up a dead bait rod after. So we'll have a little word with him later on. He's still feeling a little bit dicky. He's not very well at the moment. Sun's just coming over the fields. It's absolutely beautiful at the moment. I've got both rods in. It doesn't take me long to set up when I'm pike fishing. What I'll do is I'll actually show you what I'm doing at the moment. So as you can see, I'm fishing one rod on the alarm. Okay, I've got a mackerel head on that one. I'm fishing a drop arm style float. Drop arm style indicator with a Delkim alarm on the front. And I'm fishing just to a point on the other side of the river. It's like a little island in the middle of a river. I'm fishing just to the point over there, and I've got a giant mackerel head on. You know, the dreaded mackerel heads that I use over Keston ponds. And then on the other one, I'll just show you, I've actually got a float on. So that's a float rod set up, and I'm just down by a tree at the moment. It's quite promising. We're seeing loads of silverfish jumping. I just saw a pike chase on the surface, some silverfish. So there we go. That's kind of what I'm doing at the moment. And the sun, as you can see, is just coming over the fields. It's beautiful. So if I get anything during the day, hopefully I can give you some updates and the battery lasts out. But I just wanted to show you what I was doing. So hopefully we can get a fish. Okay guys, so I've had my first fish today. As you can see, this is only about a pound and a half. I didn't even bother weigh it. It's all fun and games. It's only really just happened. Basically, I put out a smelt, and as I was pulling the smelt in, because Keith had got me a little live bait, as I was pulling the smelt in, a little fish about this size actually took it. It could be the same fish. And then tried jigging around with a smelt, and then I put a little live bait on, a little live bait roach, put it out, took it, dropped it, took it, dropped it, and then took it. I mean, it was blatantly obvious it was going to be a little jack like this. There was no way it was a big fish the way it took. It took too quick and too erratically for it to be a bigger fish. But you can see it's got a little red saw there. I don't know if you can see in the camera. So it's my first little pike. There we go, of the session. So hopefully I'll have a few more. Keith's got a little bit camera shy and done a runner, but he's quiver tipping in the next swim. So hopefully we can set him up a little dead bait rod really soon. But that's the first one this morning. Gonna put it back, shall we? Okay, so still no fish to report since I had that last jack earlier on, apart from the fact I've just had one of my baits nicked. So I pulled the bait in again to recast it and put it into a different area. This is on my float rig, so I've actually changed the float. I've actually got a stubby slider on now. I've pulled the stop knot right down because I'm getting plagued with weed. So what I'm doing is I'm fishing really high up in the water, but then saying that, most of the small fish tend to be up in the water at the moment. And I've seen a few swells and pike, so I've got it really high up in the water now. Maybe even sort of well above half depth. So I've actually mounted, as you can see there, a little baby bluey on, which I might have even mentioned in some of my videos when I was talking about dead baits. So this is my favourite bait. I've never used the small ones before. I've only ever used the large ones cut in half. So should be interesting to see if I get a fish on this. It's got a really nice pungent smell to it. Nice blue shine. Bait's hook's going really lovely. So what I'm going to do is cast it out, and again with this one I'm going to move the bait around accordingly, and hopefully I can drop onto a fish again. On the other rod I had a large mackerel head laying on bottom. But what I've actually done is pulled it in, and I've put a pop-up smelt on. So just to stay above that weed, I've also got a ledger boom on, which is obviously keeping it off the bottom as well, because there's so much weed in this bay from dying off from the summer. It's really difficult to not bring in a bait without weed being on it. So what I'm trying to do is keep my baits above the weed. Hopefully where the sun's hitting the water now, the pike are moving around and they're seeing the bait and nabbing it. So hopefully I can put a fish in front of you in a little while. So it's coming towards the end of the day. It's roughly about an hour and a half left. Keith has been using a stick float. There he is, finally on camera. Was using a stick float in these on the main river, trying to catch some smaller fish and that, and live bait for me. Got bored, didn't really catch much, and he's come down into my swim, which I kept telling him to do, and he has some really decent, good quality fish. He's got a little one now at the moment, but he's had a really nice rudd, really nice roach, and we're hoping he might catch a nice sort of chub in front of us. So it's a shame because he just had a nice roach before I turned the camera on. So I'm hoping this is meant to be PredatorBitesUK, and Keith, true to form, not really a predator angler.
Catching a live bait.
He's catching the live baits for me. I've got a really nice one on at the moment, so hopefully that live bait hopefully saved me the day. I wouldn't say saved me the day, I've had a fish, I can't complain. The light levels have changed. It feels good for a bite. What's he done? Feels good for a bite. What we've done is as well, over there, we've actually set Keith up a deadbait rod in the next swim on the main river in a nice little slack water. So he's now got a deadbait rod out. I've got a deadbait rod out on a pop up, and I've also got a live bait out now. So let's see if we can catch one more fish for the camera, because he's getting bites left, right and centre now, right in front of us. Go on, be a big perch. Big perch or a big chub. No pressure, Keith. Being as you're a matchman, no pressure, son. Last thing you want to do is not hook a fish because it's just missed a couple. But how noddy can you get? He's using a fucking, excuse my language, he's using a quiver tip rod as a float rod.
It's not off fishing the feeder though, that's why.
Yeah, true. Oh, look at that, look. There's me filming and all the bites are dried up. Oh well. Come on, Weller. Just wanted one for the camera. There you go. Hey! The smallest fish yet. What is that? Is that a dace? Little chub or something? So anyway, what I'm going to do is just turn the camera off, try and save some battery, and hopefully we're going to get a fish pretty soon with a live bait on. So okay, so it's the end of the session now. We're going to be packing away in the next 5 minutes. It's a bit of a shame because this place actually closes quite early. It would have been lovely to do a couple of hours in dark, and we certainly would have stayed because everything's starting to sort of heat up a little bit now. So after Keith messing around catching some roach and some nice rudd and that as live baits, sat down, started having a little bit of chat about the old days, and all of a sudden these rods started rattling off. It's a bit of a shame. We think it was a small fish, and was just unlucky not to hook up on it. But yeah, it was good to have that run, unexpected last knocking. So we're going to leave the rods out for the next 20 minutes while we pack away, and hopefully we might be able to hook into a fish in that time. But if not, I hope you've enjoyed this little video. It's the first of many. It's a new series that I'm going to do, and hopefully I'm going to come down here a couple of times a year in chase of that big fish, because I am going to get it sooner or later. But I'd love to even see one of my mates catch it as well. It'd be fantastic. But that's all for this episode, so hopefully you enjoy it, and look out for episode 8.